Hello all, welcome to next episode of TeamLease webinar. This time we have come up with an interesting topic, skill gap and skill development, something which everybody is actually looking for, what's happening within employment and why employment is, there are a lot of answers related to that. In order to have this discussion, we have got two of the industry experts with us, Mr. Sandeep Girotra and Mr. Swaminathan. Mr. Sandeep Girotra, the CHRO from DCM Shriram, and Mr. Swaminathan, the Chief People Officer from KCP Limited with us. I'm sure today's session is going to be much more insightful and we will gain more from their experiences. While we begin, we'll just take a minute of quick introduction from them so that we know that, okay, how versatile their experience has been in the HR domain. Mr. Sandeep?
Yeah, hi. Thanks a lot for inviting me here, Subbu. I'm glad to be here along with Swaminathan. So my name is Sandeep Girotra and I am the HR manager for DCM Shriram. Been with the company for the last 3 years. Primarily been in the financial services space, used to work for GE Capital for a long period of time, and then with Ranbaxy in pharmaceutical, and then with HSBC. I've lived in India, Japan, Korea, and some other parts of the world. Last was based in Singapore before I came to India to join DCM Shriram. So that's really about me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandeep. Mr. Swaminathan?
Yeah, morning to you all. Swaminathan, I'm basically an engineering graduate with post-graduation in HR and worked long time in L&T and in mostly into engineering companies with a couple of stints in the MNCs like Saipem. And then I started with career with Tatas. My expertise goes with strategic HR and succession planning. And presently I head the HR for the whole group of KCP, which comprises of engineering, heavy engineering, cement and hospitality businesses.
Thank you, Swaminathan. I think that today's topic is going to be more relevant. We've got the right people with us to share their experiences. And just a 10-second of introduction from me. This is Subbu Rathinam. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer from TeamLease, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's session. Swami, my first question to you is, since you're from that engineering background, in-depth experience into it, today the whole world is talking about, okay, there are people, but we don't have the right people for us. So, are you also witnessing the same in your industry, or what's your experience onto it, Swami?
Yeah, today it's a big expansion which is going on. India is becoming the leading third in the economy, going to take over Germany in short while. Taking that into consideration, the growth part of it, the huge gap that is available. Okay, not only in the IT sector, which we are hearing every day in day out. If you see in the infrastructure. SNS, the current head of L&T, is saying they is short of roughly 25,000 workers. At any point of they employ more than 4 lakh of workers, and that the workers in the sense the skill-based workers, what they have to have. How it is crippling the business, if you see, is not in a position to book the orders. Today, they have a huge order backlog of 2,50,000 crores, which is equal to almost twice their revenue. But from the current, this one, 2028 onwards, how they are going to book the orders, how this big conglomerate is going to work is a big question mark. Coming to the BFSI sector, this is another area which is a huge skill gap. If you see, BFSI sector slowly it is moving at 30 to 32% growth in this area. And with the new technology coming in, how the people are short of the skills in the technological area, specifically with AI, Gen AI, which is coming in a very big way, cloud computing, and moreover in BFSI sector, the cyber security is becoming a huge gap. It is. So if you see in these both clear sectors, it is happening. Apart from that, the engineering domain also, or the people, though India is churning out huge amount of engineers, but what is the type of people that we are getting from the college, how to work it out. So the skill gap is going to be a big issue in the next, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, I feel, and it is going to have a huge impact on the business. That's what, according to me, to the question what you asked.
Thank you, Swami. I think what you touched upon on infrastructure, I think that's been actually spoken in every media, because we are not actually getting people with the civil background and specifically to work people on the infrastructure part. Maybe let's take view from Sandeep as well on the same part, Sandeep.
Look, I think it's been a story that has been repeated in the last many decades. So every 3, 4, 5 years, HR managers have talked about how there is a dearth of talent. I think we are seeing more and more of that. It's becoming more acute. There are two things that are required to grow the business. One is obviously capital. The second is people. Capital, fortunately, is available. Obviously, it comes at a cost, but capital is available, which is very different from, let's say, what it was about 20 years ago when the capital was not. It was scarce and the cost of capital was very high. However, now I think that situation has changed. Indian companies are doing well, so their ability to generate money has not been a challenge. The problem has been the right talent for everybody. Now, unfortunately, with about 150 crore employees or 150 crore population that we have, we are still facing a crunch for the right talent. And that goes back to actually the way our education system is. I think we're churning a lot of people, we're churning a lot of graduates, but the relevance of that study, relevance of that experience to the application is just not there. So I think a lot of companies, and including ourselves, we have started looking at, partnering with ITIs of the world to start looking at, their curriculum, their training, their experiential labs and all that are much more contextual to what we require. But it is manageable. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be. So for today, it is manageable. The problem is going to be 3-4 years hence. I don't think we do have the capability and also the intent and the desire to move quickly the way the world is moving towards AI, digital, and all that. I think we're still we're still kind of debating, discussing, like we all do. Indians love to debate and discuss. Debating, discussing whether AI is going to be a reality or not. Is it going to be a bubble like a .com bubble? How is it going to affect? Blah blah blah. Whereas the companies and the countries have moved ahead, and they've started planning for it. They started implementing a lot of stuff. So the problem is not going to be today. The problem is going to be 3-4 years hence, because and sooner we get our act together, sooner we start realizing that it's going to be a reality, better it is for us. Otherwise, we're landing ourselves in a very, very deep issues or deep, problems going forward. So I think these are two things that I would like to say.
Superb. I think you articulated it nicely in terms of the capital and people part, and how the upcoming skills are also a kind of actually fine identified. And Sandeep, again adding on to the same point, do you find any specific roles that you are actually finding it as a kind of where this is actually slightly shortening up, while at a broader level you actually answered it? Any specific roles that you are actually witnessing it?
So yeah, see, two roles, one technical, because, a lot of people don't want to do technical roles, I mean, they don't want to do, you're finding it difficult to find people there in factories. So getting people, and the factories are typically, they're not in the cities, they're not in big cities, they are in the rural areas, so you're not finding people to go to the factories, either have the desire to work there or willingness to do hardcore engineering work. I think that's a bit of a challenge that we are facing. The second piece, which is coming out very clearly, is the commercial aspect. So and now that's scary. You have a gap in technology, and then you have a gap in the commercial acumen. And commercial also is very superficial. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's my age catching up. The fact is, I'm not seeing the kids who are coming in now as management trainees, as GETs and all that, are reasonably commercial savvy in terms of looking at the numbers, understanding balance sheet numbers, and how does it make whatever that they're doing, how is it going to be impacting the business in a commercial manner. I think these two things put together are going to be a big cause of worry for us going forward, unless we start correcting them soon enough. And going back to what our base was, with his mathematics and engineering and technology and all that stuff, I think we're moving away from that from a certain standpoint.
No, I can actually resonate with what you are actually speaking about it, the technical part of it, as well as the commercial acumen of understanding. And then, so people without understanding and having and getting into a kind of a senior profiles, which is actually, I'm sure they must have competed with hundreds of people and they would have come in. But then if they're actually still lagging on some of the skills, yeah, I think good insights. Now, while you have actually touched upon a kind of a premium roles within an organization, with the people from a B schools and graduates entering into an organization, Sandeep. My question to Swami is, at the frontline levels, these kind of roles, where do we find? Because the one point that you touched upon is the infrastructure is actually finding. So there we are getting lot of news about many roles are actually having a skill gap. People are not interested to get into a civil side of it or missionary part of it, and they are preferring towards e-commerce. What are your views around that? And do you also find for some roles like this as a challenges?
Yeah, very much it is. If you've seen in India, India is moving towards a service type of an economy more than an industrial-based economy. Though we speak about Industry 4.0, blah blah blah, and all. Okay, how it is moving? It is moving to service. If you've seen the southern part of the India, even the northern part of India today, this year specifically in 2024, people prefer to get into CS, computer science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning and database. Okay, almost all the 80% of the seats are moved into that. Only 20% is left out for the core engineering we call as a mechanical, electrical, and civil. Okay. Even those 20% in the next 4 years is going to have a big impact on us. Currently, what is happening is something called the GCC. There's a huge wave which is moving on in India. That is Global Capability Centers, which is getting established in across India. What it is happening, they take out the cream. What they give is a white collar jobs to these engineering. As well, when we did our engineering, we used to go to shop floor, we work in that. We have a pride in working it. Today, even the diploma people, the ITIs are not ready to work in the shop floor. There is no, I don't want to sweat it out. I sit in the AC room, I do the 3D modeling, the AutoCAD, everything. So that part is getting, to whom they are working, they're working for a project in Australia, for a company which is in Italy, and the resources used for the Indians in that way, because the cost in the Indian is roughly $18 to $20 per hour. If the same thing is being done in Germany or in Paris or in Rome, it is going to cost $44 per hour. So there's going to be this happening a huge skill drain. I can say today, which is happening. Okay, of course, it is getting into what we get the foreign currency, but it is impacting the Indian companies, to be very clear. Today, as what Sandeep was really put, the commercial part of it is also lacking. We have to put a lot of effort, and people they feel that joining an Indian company is not the right. They feel that I had to join an MNC to put it in my this one. I'm working in an MNC. That's what. Plus, they don't want to have a blue collar. Today is a huge. Last week, I've been discussing with the skill development of Tamil Nadu, the IAS officers, or they're putting a big plan. They are not getting people to be trained in welding, the carpentry, the basic skills that is required for the infrastructure and the heavy engineering industry in India. They say, no, I do better go to work in a jewelry where it is moving on a conveyor. I just put those diamonds and I work for 8 to 10 hours under the AC. So there's a huge skill gap which is happening, which is impacting now. And down the line, after 4 years, the skewing of people to the service type of industry is going to impact the engineering and specifically the manufacturing industry.
Well said, Swami, because one of the statement, another CHRO who was actually commenting about it, he said that the same statement, I'm not able to get people in welding because their industry is actually completely into a furnace manufacturing. So welding happens on day-to-day basis, and there are about thousands of people who actually does welding, and they are not able to get people with the C-suite certification.
Exactly.
So again, adding on to this, if such a thing is actually coming in as a kind of a very challenging aspect for every industry, or specifically in the manufacturing or engineering side. What are your recommendations, or what do you think are the best practices on the initiatives to actually bridge this, Swami? While Sandeep also highlighted that, okay, the ITAs, etc. But from your perspective, what do you think are the ones which are actually upcoming to bridge this?
See, the strategy what we are adopting is targeted training programs. To be very frank, I put a center of excellence. I opened a welding school in my unit. What I do is I take people welding. I don't want ITI. It's a clear cut. It's a skill which I can impart to a person who's got the basic aptitude of doing it, who's got a sharp eye, okay, and a and an eye coordination. So I take people from the MFSL. I do run CSR programs in all my units where I put them into my welding school, and we certify them level wise. So there's 6 levels of welding. So my welding training is very specialized. So I put them according to my requirement. For my fabrication, the level 3 is enough. For my high-end process equipment areas, I need a 6G level. So I tie up with the TWI. TWI is universally based. It's based from London, and that certification is valid. What the people want is also tomorrow with this certification, having an experience of 3 to 4 years in a company like us, okay, they can go abroad and earn also. So that is one carrot I showed to them. So you hone the skills. So of course, I became a training school. That's fine. That's what today's issue is. So targeted training programs, which I do. Then continuous learning culture. See, today what is happening is even my own area of cement, we have to go for green cement today. Okay, that's a bit different. When I'm doing my operations in Vietnam in sugar is going to be in a different zone of technology change is happening. So continuous learning culture, training has become a key issue, key thing for us. So we have a well-organized structures where you have internal trainers done in all areas. We have a competency mapping done across in that, and how we build the skill inventory. Tomorrow, what is the technology that I'm going to have? Just now, morning, I had a meeting with my IT guys. See, getting an infrastructure company and the engineering company as an IT guys, what platform we are and what we are going to change. So what is the skill inventory we need? So that's one. And evaluating and refining at the senior levels, what Mr. Sandeep has told, people at the project management level or at a shop or HOD level, what is the pinch for the cost that we keep teaching the people? It's not that everything what you budget, you will get it in that way. So these are the three strategies that we adopt so that the people get sensitized. So we become a training school, use it. And then, of course, there's a cost involved into it. Yeah, of course, it eats into my bottom line. That we have worked it out. Roughly, my ERE goes up by 10%. We are ready to take it. That's the order of the day.
Yeah, no, I think you also touched upon an interesting topic. While the initiatives are great, I think the cost of actually doing this is actually something that you are actually compensating, because when you compare it with the cost of identifying a talent and then grooming them, rather you actually invest on it so that there is a raw supply to your talent requirement. I think great points. Sandeep, from your perspective, is there anything that you would like to complement to what Swami was actually highlighting? Any new initiatives, best practices to bridge the skill gap?
No, look, as I mentioned, I think you got to start looking at the grassroots level. So what we have done is we have doubled down our effort on hiring graduate engineer trainees. Now, you want to, and especially I'm talking about the technical training right now, or technical skills. You're going to get what you're going to get. I mean, it's not. I mean, you'll have whatever they have to offer to you. So we spend a lot of our time then training them on our shop floors. So let's say about 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, a GET would go through a 1-year training, out of which about 6 months is going to be technical training, 6 months is going to be classroom training. That has probably changed now for us. We are spending more time and more effort from our side in ensuring that they come up the curve. Now, these are smart people, smart kids. They develop fast, provided that you provide them the right training. So we have doubled down our effort on that one. We have also doubled down our effort on hiring more number of people. See, because as what Swami was mentioning, they're not very keen on doing those kind of roles. So it's almost like it's not as bad as, finding a needle in the haystack, but, I mean, it's still a 50-50 chance, So you hire 20 people, 20 GETs, and 10 of them, they may want to do their MBA and move on to some other roles. So you'll have to enlarge your pool so that you continue to have the same number of people that you wanted to have, even if 50% of them leave. So I think that's really where we're spending a lot of our time. The second piece that we're doing at a grassroots level is working with the ITIs and the local bodies, and ensuring that the curriculum that they are teaching, and they're pretty open about it, curriculum they are teaching are more contextual to our needs. And when we say our needs, it's basically industry needs. So let's say when we have our sugar factories somewhere in the UP, we would work with the ITIs to help them train people who would work on mills, sugar mills, or the boilers, electrical engineers or electrical diploma holders and stuff like that. So I think those are the kind of work that we are doing. And we are seeing some positive returns out of it. Hopefully, I think if we can continue to do what we are doing, we would be able to bridge that skill gap, at least for the short term.
Interesting point, Sandeep. I think there are very few organizations like this who actually go to an ITI and say that, okay, fine, this is the customized curriculum that I need so that you actually supply people to me. And as your business are also into, say, sugar, agri, and then the Fenesta, completely a different kind of so is there any specific programs that you have designed? Just one example that you can actually talk about, Sandeep?
The other piece which is going to be helping us, and I think we should not underestimate the fact that, this PM internship program that is going on right now. And we're also, I don't know whether Swaminathan is, their company is involved in it or not, but, we're hiring a large number of people from there.
Super.
And that seems promising, So I think we feel confident that out of whatever X number of people that we'll be able to hire as interns and provide them technical training, many of them would be able to do well, and we should be able to absorb quite a few of them in the technical roles thereafter. So we feel that's a great step by the government, and we would like to leverage that as we go along.
Superb. In fact, you actually answered the next question that I was about to ask specifically. Okay, how do you actually identify, and then what do you do proactively? I think when you have building a customized curriculum for your needs, I think that actually answers. So, just okay, maybe just before I get into the last question, maybe Swami, I will actually check with you on with all you also spoke about the IoT, which are actually coming in, automations coming in, Industry 4.0 coming in. Are you finding a change in skill sets that are actually needed? Because today, for example, if somebody was coming in a technician or a helper in the frontline assembly roles, they're not so used to this Industry 4.0 experience. It's everything is robotic and other stuff. So do you find there any new upcoming skills, a skill gap is actually been coming up?
Yeah, very much. In our shop floors, we can find, see, previously it was full of humans, what we've been using. Of course, even the Industry 3.0 started with or robots in that way, but it is becoming more in Industry 4.0. Robotics and automation is a big area where we need to have it. In my previous stint, we started an automation company called BGR Neo. I was part of it. I was a founder member of it, where we started it and worked out. We went to the industries and talked about where they can do the automation part of it. So when I came to this industry, yes, we are slowly training the people how to use a robot, specifically in the welding areas. Next 3 years, today I can have a welding school for next 2 years, 3 years. Third year, I will not be in position to do it. So I have to use robots there. That's one. Then the predictive maintenance, which we used to do previously in very much in doing the statistical control, everything. And they used to take 2 to 3 days to come up with a real credit. What is the lowest this one correlation level or the highest level, everything. Now everything it is automated totally. So you can just give insight and get it. And today in my foundry, I use a Magmaster simulation. Simulations are coming in a very, very big way so that I don't waste my time and the money into that. So if we put in the simulation, what is the conditions, it will give the answer. So accordingly, I can the iterations will get reduced. So the Industry 4.0 and the automation helps. The last but not the least, industry one of the soft skills, which is very, very much important. Gone are the days whereby the people come with a real good soft skills. Today, how to use the data, the skill confidentiality. The other day, a guy who left from me the foundry, okay, he goes with my total data. Pura kundli leke jata hai. That's what we call it. Okay, so he moves with it. And what is the ethics and the integrity that we want? Adding to what Sandeep, one point for the previous question on the summer internship, as we are doing it, we went ahead of it. Though the finance minister announced that what we are giving is we put these internships into two. One is a summer internship where we give 20K. We take 50 people, we put more than what the government is giving. And the project we did, out of the 50 people, we take 50% we shortlist and do the project when they do the final semester. That we give 40K as a grant in that way. So taking this, coming to the Industry 4.0, Industry 4.0, the gap is this way, the automation and things, but it is manageable because the industry is moving into that. We have got good amount of training service providers, specifically in this part of India, and we are in a position where, and people are also having that interest to learn. See, what they say is, yes, if I don't upskill myself, I become redundant in that way. So it is a win-win situation for both the people and the company itself. So it is moving on. But coming again, the cost part of it. I invest in the technology where I save. I need to put an along with my markets to the management to get the approval. So that is going on in the different. For that, the revenue should move up. That's what we are working on at our levels. Yeah.
Thank you, Swami. I think 2-3 points you actually clubbed together, and it's you rightly summed up. In fact, one of my favorite statement that I always say is when there is an attrition that is happening in an organization and we want to retain some of the people, nobody retains people for the person per se. We retain people for the skill what they possess. So when some of these things are very important, how they upskill and then what efficiency that we actually get because of they getting upskilled is very important. So coming to the last question, maybe I'll check with Sandeep. I think you also ended up with the soft skills part of it because the skill is not only at the factory and the shop floor. Sandeep, I think you also spoke about a kind of a premium class of people getting into GET because not many such people who actually get into that kind of a level. Now, when it actually moves to a next level, when they get into middle management layer or when we groom people for succession planning, leadership, what skills that you actually find are they what kind of a thing that actually happens over there for upskilling them, Sandeep, your views?
Look, I think there are a couple of things here, I mean, again, There are going to be specific intervention at each of the levels, and we've all done that. We are HR guys, we know it all. Specifically, two skills that we are focusing on, when people move from an individual contributor to a quasi team leader role and then moving on to leadership roles. One, obviously, that goes without saying is people management skills. With a lot of focus right now on EQ. I think we've talked about IQ a lot of times, but I think the times have come wherein we are now focusing a lot on EQ and developing that piece. In the new leaders, especially new team leaders, is important. Managing people is a very, very different ball game. So we are trying to impart skills, people management skills to the first-time managers. The second piece, which we believe is going to be important, is ability to anticipate and plan for the future. So look, nobody can anticipate, we can only predict. Nobody can predict, we can only anticipate. We don't know what future may hold, but we can look at the past trends, and intelligence is all about looking at past trends and then kind of making out some regression analysis to find out what it would look like in the future. And those are the skills, competencies that we want to develop in people. Look around you, your data should speak to you. You should be able to be comfortable with data and make inferences out of data. Anticipate what may happen in the future, and then plan for it. As I normally say, look, nobody would have predicted or anticipated there could be a earthquake in Japan in 2011. But I think Japanese plan it very well. In this case, they didn't plan it also so well, but normally they plan for any eventuality like an earthquake very well. So all leaders can do now is anticipate that it may happen. We don't know when that's going to happen, but plan for it in a much better way than what we have done in the past, so that you are able to tide over these irregularities in a much better way. And these irregularities are going to be a part and parcel of the business. There was a COVID 2-3 years ago. There was a financial crisis about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And then in between there is SARS and all that. And I can assure you that it's not going to be the end of it. There's going to be another stuff that may happen in the next 2 years and another one in the next 5 years. So going back to the piece, our ability to plan for those eventualities is what's going to make us big leaders. So these are two things that we try and train our people on and make them better leaders.
Thank you, Sandeep. I think this is going to be helpful for people who are actually going to watch on it. Maybe closing comments from Swami on the same point, because he's from the engineering background, the talent pool is always a scarcity over there, and specifically the middle management and the leadership, because you have the understanding of the past and then you know the knowledge about the subject very well, and then grooming. Swami, your views from your industry perspective.
Yeah, it is very clear that we have to go for leadership development, because the cream of the people are moved to the service sector. Okay, so you have to groom from level 1. You take the GETs, as what Sandeep has told. Identify the key people who has got the real aptitude. Technology is taken, yes, it is there. Apart from that, the managerial skills. So you have to have a solid competency mapping laid out from level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Okay, once that is in, then you have to put them into the real assessment. Once you find those potentials, the high posts we call the high potentials, and keep grooming them. Okay, in a very systematic manner. There will be, everybody will not be having 100% the capability. You have a spider diagram and you put it, then there will be gaps. That gaps you should be in a position to have a tie-up with some good institutions. We have tie-ups with Nolan, ISB, and Great Lakes, where we time in, time out, work it out with them, in grooming them, putting them into projects where that you put them from your comfort zone to a non-comfort zone and see how it is. That's what if the diamond is going to be cut, then only is going to shine it out. So put them under constant coaching and mentoring. Of course, it has to take a separate time for them. So accordingly, you have to reward them also on this. So reward them in a proper way. We call it as ring fencing rather than rewarding. That the word ring fencing. So over a period of time, you have to build your own leadership. The target KRA, if you see in my board, what it is written in front of me is to house have to groom in the next 5 years. The 7 successors have to groom it. That's point number 1. Point number 2, have a solid first level managers who are groomed in that way over a period of next 3 years to close their gaps, what it has been identified through it. Of course, there will be attrition in them also. You can't bind them everywhere. Might be even the attritions might be because of their family background. And third thing is we are moving totally into the ladies also. See, till now, what we thought was at the beginning, they make the career for family reasons, they move out. Of course, it is more pronounced in the software industry. They continue from the work from home and one. It is not possible here. Then we are consciously in the last 2 years, what we have done, we have taken graduate engineers at all levels, the diversity, we started improving on that. So what that gives us is a good productivity, to be very frank. And what it is going to really have a problem is the career in between. So when they reach the age of 4 to 5 years down the line after they get it, they may go for a break. Yeah, let them do a sabbatical or a break for 3 to 4 years. Again, we want to take them back. It has helped us out. So that is also another area which we are trying in a very big way. So putting together in a summary, yes, leadership you have to develop. You have to develop your own leaders, and again, it is going to put your own time. Seniors have to put that time into it and work it out, so that at the end of the day, when I'm expanding, I have my leaders in-house into it. But one caution in this is when we do it, when you're going expanding abroad, okay, the same competencies are not going to be useful there. It's going to be a different ball game there. We had a difficulty when I was in L&T. We thought when we were moving to L&T 2 in the Middle East, okay, we thought these people will do that. It's miserably failed. Its failure is not on those people, it is on the HRs. What we did, it went back to the drawing board, and we found the competencies. What we have to do is enter a bit different. So HR has to be very, very cautious on that. So when what type of things when you're going abroad or internationally, every business today is an international business. Client is a bit different, everything. So how we are going to bridge that is also is a real art. So HR more from the administrative, it is moving into the strategic, where the HR has to spend more time. Today, we are spending more than 40 to 50% of our time on building the future leaders into this way, specifically at the top level. And it is becoming a topic in the boardroom on this. Board members are ready to give a specific time for this. It's a good sign, and it is a journey that we are embarking on this. We have to do it.
No, I think the way you actually articulated it, the responsibilities actually do not stop over there. It's actually strategic role of HR to actually play, to groom, and then to find the skill gap, and then actually fulfill. And for the maybe what is going to come after 3 years to 5 years, if you're planning for it, I think both of you articulated in a nice way. And I'm sure this topic can't be actually closed in a 30 minutes or a 60-minute session. This is actually a kind of an ocean. And the more we go depth, there is no end to it. We can actually go deeper into it. I think today we were in a position to actually have have insights from both of you from the perspective of okay, where the skills currently the gaps are, and what are some of the initiatives that organizations like us are actually taking it up, and how we are actually grooming, and then what we are actually doing to anticipate our challenges that are likely to come after 3 years, 5 years, and then building up funnel for it, starting from tying up with the institutions. To get people in the front line and also grooming people at the leadership roles. I think it was an interesting conversation. I really enjoyed having with both of you. Thanks for sharing your insights. Thank you, Sandeep, for joining us. Thank you, Swami, for joining us. We look forward to host both of you for in our future maybe in-person events.
Thank you.
Sandeep, sorry, you are on mute.
No, thanks, Subbu. It was a pleasure, sharing my thoughts and hearing Swami also on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, same here, Subbu. Thanks.